right, let's get to this, which I've been to get to for a long time. A very, very, very long time. Is Miracle Man or Marvel Man? Now, what would you call this? Miracle Man or Marvel Man? Now, that's actually a bit of a contentious question if you don't know. So, are you sick of superhero movies? Most people are. Why do we have this glut of superhero movies? Essentially, because in the early to mid 80s, the superhero genre in comics was reinvented by Alan Moore with this very book, Marvel Man. Right? It was called Marvel Man at the time. So, Marvel Man was a 1950s superhero. Essentially, I think it was a tracings of Captain Marvel, right? It was a total ripoff of Captain Marvel, and it was made in England, right? So then in the 80s, around in the 50s, Mick Angelo and Alan Moore. This is the sort of thing that Alan Moore spearheaded his career with. It was the first time one had superheroes set in a modern, realistic setting. So essentially, the plot is that he was a superhero, but he's forgotten he had powers. He's forgotten he was a superhero in the 50s until he somehow remembers his magic word that transforms him into this wonderful hero, Miracle Man. And he had the Miracle Family, he had young Miracle Man and Kid Miracle Man. and he had a very like normal comic booky life, right? So then that was all turned on its head pretty much in the first and second book, when it was turned out that everything he thought wasn't true. It was all a hallucination induced by an evil scientist using crash alien technology. Basically, he created his Marvel Man, Miracle Man alter ego. Which could fly, was impervious, was pretty much incredible. And then when you changed into him, you whichever body wasn't existing in this world was then placed into like this null space, right? So eventually they become known in the world. They become known in the world when the aliens there's two alien factions that were involved with their creation or the crash ship, and they have one of them goes bad. Was it Kid Marvel? But at the end of it, essentially, they've revealed themselves to the world, and they created this somewhat utopic world that they live in. It's for me, it wouldn't be utopia. There's a bit too much free love in it. I do enjoy sex. I like sex with meaning, generally speaking. So I think that was one of the biggest weaknesses in the world. But they created this like new utopic world of like incredible technology, and anyone could become a superhero by the end of it, right? It was like childhood's end. It was the new next stage of evolution for humanity. Well, that's basically how it seems, and that was the Alan Moore run, how it ended. So then Neil Gaiman took it over. This was back in like early 90s, like late 80s, early 90s. He took it over. He did the first book, The Golden Age, which was exploring that new world, and I think explored it very, very interestingly, right? Really went in, but there wasn't really much story in it. So then they started the Silver Age, which was going to be the next continuation. They got one issue in, which I don't think got widely printed, and they went bankrupt. And it's been 30 years, right? We've been waiting for this literally 30 years to come out. I don't think any comic book is worth that wait, but this is a solid book. It's if you've been reading it, it's worth reading the first four books to get to this one. It's and it's certainly going in an interesting direction. So the plot of this one, I found quite fascinating. One of the superheroes, the Miracle Man founding was young Marvel Man, or young Miracle Man, whatever, who was destroyed in the 50s. Like basically in the 50s, they fooled them into flying into a giant floating atom bomb to wipe them out when they realized how insanely powerful they were. But it didn't work. But one of them was wiped out, right? But his human body, I think, both his human and his superhero human body still existed in null space. So all the way through the Golden Age, you had this ongoing plot of them retrieving something from null space, and it was his cells, the young Miracleman cells, to regrow, and it ended up with him being woken up. So this is a really interesting idea that runs through this whole thing. He's an author from the 1950s and has a very 1950s sensibilities, and now he's suddenly in a post-moral world, right? He's in this superhuman. This is set in the 1990s, and so a lot of it is about a culture shock, and then it's more about him formulating who he wants to be. So so this is set in 2003, I should say, right? And you get a lot of like these superheroes at play, right? These are you can choose to become a superhuman, and they also have superpowered children. And so they basically they hang out playing, destroying stuff, like having super battles, right? And it seems kind of fun, right? It seems kind of fun. So into this we have young Miracleman is brought back. So this is who's the artist on this again? Mark Buckingham, right? Again, who was the artist on it originally? Mark Buckingham. He was also in quite a few Doctor Who magazine strips. So they wake him up, and it's like the first issue is essentially like his intense culture shock as he's being brought into the world about what the world is. This is Miracleman's daughter, Marvel Man. They was called Marvel Man. Then Marvel sued them, even though it was called them before Marvel came out. Doesn't matter. Marvel sued them, so eventually they reprinted it under the name Miracleman. So you can go either way on it. And you had like these incredible. I think probably one of the most violent battles of all time, right? But basically, he comes into this somewhat superhuman world, and now he's meeting the other superhumans, right? And it's it's a really interesting character study of what it would be. So goodbye, Dickie. Tomorrow, I think we'll commence your introduction to the world. Right ho, MM. I won't be going anywhere. Cheerio. Right, says Miracleman to turn around, and like you can see what he's just miserable, right? Initially he's just miserable after being brought back to life. So with each issue, you get these excellent bundle of extras, the sketches, and also they what's this? This was unused pays, right? Mark was it not Mark Farmer? Who was it again? Mark Buckingham, I should say. Mark Buckingham redrew this entire book. And also this book and as was going on. So you get to see the original versions. And then again, it's more of his introduction into the world. This is the insanely violent section I was telling you about, when one of the these superhumans gets out where they're trapped, and in the most horrific way. It was October 7th. Imagine October 7th with superpowers, right? That's essentially what it was. Right, it's just quite a good analogy. So he said, "Gosh, it's awfully nice to be here." It's very English, and so Miracle Woman thinks that a young Miracleman is in love with him, right? And because they're all super sexually liberated now, he tries to kiss him, which doesn't go down well, right? Which doesn't go down well. Which leads to he punches him across the room, and then very, very upset, right? Again, really good artwork. I'd say this artwork, it's got its own individual look, but it fits into the style of the book. It explains, the acting in it is very good. And it's excellent to carry along the story. So he flies back to Miracle Woman. It's like, that did not go well, right? That did not go well. So again, I find all this this stuff I love, right? The so this is what the it really looked like in the 1990s when he drew it, right? And now and I do like they include this in the book, and now they completely redesign it into something like this, which I think the redesign is somewhat successful. 1 second. All right, and basically there's a lot more two page spreads in it. So as the story goes, you get the feeling that young Miracleman, Kid Miracleman, who was the evil one that destroyed all of London, is waiting somewhere in the back of his mind, waiting for a chink to get in, right? Lovely use of color here as well. So he flies over here, and then he passes out, and he has this encounter with the evil superhero. And a lot of the rest of it, again, is a journey of introspection for this character, and a more interesting view, a more layered view of this world. So he lands, where is it? In some mountain, right? Everest or somewhere. And he meets somebody climbing, and then he goes up with it, right? And again, all the time he's still haunted by this character, just kind of taunting him subtly outside the range. So again, lots of superheroes everywhere, looking kind of hot. And here's the interesting thing: one of the first innovations they did was let anybody could apply to go through a similar process that these superheroes did and get superpowers. So this was the first guy who did it, and then eventually he was a superhuman for a little bit, but he just wasn't happy doing it, right? And so he quit and gave it up, and he moved his house up into the middle of the Himalayas, so he would be left alone, right? Again, yeah, really great extras. I like that you have every page of the original comic, right? And it tells the same story, but I like to see you can see where it's going. So yeah, more of a more introspection as it goes on. I like they deal with they deal a lot with theology and religion. I don't think they really understand it though. I don't think Neil Gaiman understands it that well. But yeah, all this alien design was set up by Alan Moore. These are the Waltzmiths. These one faction in the universal politics that created superhumans. So yeah, so he's trying to work out who he wants to be in life, and so this is a good person to talk to, right? A guy who became superhuman, then gave it all up. Again, lots of good extras, right? Oh, did I miss out the cover? I missed out the cover. So yeah, so then he ends up flying back to England with this super. He hasn't. He's still human, right? He hasn't changed back to superhuman to examine his past. And so the rest of this is really an examination of who he is and how he came to be here. And it deals a lot with like institutionalized abuse, especially from orphanages. You know, a bit Jimmy Savile-ish, what one would say. And so yeah, so you have like a good episode of his like backstory, beautifully told, right? Like generally speaking, beautifully told, but lots of abuse. So this was Dr. Gargunza, the guy who created superhumans. They're super creepy, and they kidnap orphans essentially to do this process on, right? So he's been on this journey of self-discovery, and now has decided who he is, and then essentially he confronts Miracleman and says, I don't like this world that you created, right? I don't like this world you created. I'm not today, not tomorrow. I'm going to be your adversary, right? I'm going to be your adversary, and you do get a feeling like Kid Miracleman is in there somewhere, right? But again, it moves the story along, and I'm intrigued to see where it's going. And essentially, it ends up kind of like just setting up the setting the stage for the final book, which will be the Dark Age, which I think is set as about 100 or so years later. So yeah, look, this is a solid series, right? This is absolutely a solid series. Huge recommend. It's one of the best uses of the medium. If you've never read any Miracleman, do not start here. Do not go back and get the Alan Moore stuff. He's not credited on the recent very good reprints they did. They wanted to. He didn't have anything to do with it, so it's just called The Original Writer. But that's really good. And then get books 4 and 5. It's a solid use of what the medium is for, right? It is a solid use of what the medium for. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.